Are there any questions that we have in the audience? Yes, please. Do we have a mic? Yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Bakas Sapsoro, Ambassador of Indonesia to Sweden. Thank you for inviting us. We have 3 from Stockholm this morning. And I'm particularly impressed with the statement made by Minister Ibrahim Baylan. Especially, he's responsible for business, industry, and innovation. I think this is very much in line with goals number 9, industry, innovation, infrastructure. We are so happy with this one. As you know, you just mentioned about we need leadership on this issue. And I agree particularly on that issue among the leaders around the world. And you mentioned about the natural disaster, not only natural, I think man-made disaster as well.
Yes.
What we are seeing today from the news in Japan, in Amazon, and also in my country, Borneo, what happened with the forest fire. So I just want to ask my good friend, Minister, what kind of leadership we need at this current moment? It seems to me that we need a lot of people like Grete, you just mentioned.
Yes.
So this is maybe this is not official, my personal question.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Please hand the mic.
Thank you, Ambassador Sapsoro. I have always enjoyed our cooperation and also the cooperation we had both in Indonesia but also here in Stockholm. What I believe we need is good examples, because you still, in a lot of countries in the world, have this discussion and debate that there is a trade-off between economic welfare, jobs, growth, and sustainability. Our experience as a country is that this is not the case anymore. It was, but it's not the case anymore. But just to say it is not enough. You need also to show that this is the case. That is why we have set the target to become one of the first fossil-free welfare society, to show that this is not only very good for the environment and the climate, but also the best economic strategy going forward. But because otherwise, we'll continue to do as we are doing, and you know, you have this fear-mongers all over the world saying, well, you know, that either denying that this is happening, or even acknowledging that this is happening, it's something natural, or even acknowledging that, well, you know, it's very important for us to have the job and economic growth. It is. But I don't think it is possible in the future to do it without also adding a lot of the goals and the means to make it sustainable. So I think from our point of view as a government and as a country, our aim is to set examples, to show that it is possible to create steel without using coal, to show that you could have a totally renewable energy system. Not only talk about it, but show in essence. And to do that, you need to innovate. So this cooperation is essential.
And if I could add to the same question, UNOPS has a turnover annually of about $2 billion. We work in more than 80 countries. We are also present in Indonesia. We manage actually quite a lot of funds related to your tropical forests. We also manage the global marketplace of the UN. So knowing that when we tender solutions, you mentioned clean water. It was 5 years ago when I joined Microsoft, UNOPS. I just wanted you to remember the 5 years. Somebody told me that we still tendered clean water based on chloride solutions. And it was here in Sweden I got the question, why? Because it's already biodegradable methods out there. So actually advising us on how we do tenders, not only as UNOPS, but as a UN-wide system, is about innovation. When we do solutions to fight Ebola, I learned that there was one nurse who had developed this sheet that can contain 4 liters of body liquid. Imagine what that does to fighting that kind of diseases. But without having an ecosystem where that can play an important role, it was actually hard for that single nurse to find a way to get into the right space, find the right markets. These are 2 very simple examples, but if we're able to build these networks that actually can make a difference, I'm sure that we can address the 17 Sustainable Development Goals better together, and cost efficient, and also with speed, because we know it's only 10 years left to the 2030 that we have put up as a deadline for what we want to achieve.
And I have to say that it's a great idea, and we have to also invite on stage the mastermind behind these global innovation centers, Mr. Jonas Svensson. Come up on stage. You need to be here. Do you have any comments to this Indonesian question? No? Yeah? Okay. But you know him, yes? He's the hero behind this and the mastermind, so we thank him. Do you have any more questions? Yes, we have one here. Do we have a mic?
Thank you very much. My name is Sohail and I'm the founder of Creative. We're actually working to achieve the 8th and 11th SDG. And the reason we can continue is a lot thanks to Ideon and also Sunny that gives us a lot of help and support. And everything you guys are saying sounds very, very good. But what does it really mean in reality? What kind of resources and help can startups like us expect to get from this project? Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to say something?
So basically, regardless of location, we always bring, let's say, partnerships under 4 headlines. So educational components, monetary components, policy support, and incubation. So as long as your need is within one of those 4, then basically we have the toolkit to basically help you.
And what will happen is also that UNOPS will form challenges. Am I right? You will form challenges and bring it to the market. And on those challenges, you can reply if you have some sort of innovation or solution that could help. And that makes it possible for you to find your market through this partnership too. And if the UNOPS is interested in your innovation, I think there are some investors that could be interested too. So I think this whole ecosystem is important, not only for the UNOPS disaster areas, but for the Swedish innovation companies. That's part of it, right?
Let me use Tunisia as an example, where we have been working for some time. It has been about entrepreneurship, and it has been about green jobs for young people. So young entrepreneurs with a business idea could come forward, and this was under EU funding, actually validate their business cases, maybe have support in building it, and also driving it through the first year. And this was about, you know, Tunisia. How can we save water and still do the things we would like to do with a more efficient use of water? And I was amazed to see the number of young entrepreneurs coming up with new solutions to very old challenges, such as cleaning hotels, cleaning houses, doing the gardens, and it was an amazing saving of water. Of course, underneath was new technologies. how can you actually provide the same kind of services, but in a very different way? So I don't say that we will copy-paste what has been going on in Tunisia, but I think through that, as well as Antigua Barbuda, and now linking up with Sweden, this exchange of ideas across the globe. We said we have an aim to build something around 12, 15 hubs, will help us build these win-win partnerships. And it has to go both ways, and it has to be sound financially, but take care of that environmental and social component as well.
Any more questions? We have somebody up here.
Sir, I can throw this.
Yay!
Full score for that one. Anyway, I'm sitting here with a few colleagues. We are from Business Sweden. We have one question. How can we help you make this happen? And that's to all of you.
That's a great question. Yeah. Who would like to start?
I think the minister
Yeah.
should...
As a co-owner of Business Sweden, it would be wrong to answer that question, so I'll pass nothing.
Is it just
Well,
now?
I cannot. I mean, to give the microphone to a politician and say, answer the question. You know, I cannot. The short of it. The short of it, you know as well as I, one of the problems we have we have a lot of innovation in this country, a lot of startups. One of the problems you have is that our market is so small, and we have problems with getting our SMEs going on export. So obviously this from our point of view, this is also a very good partnership, because this is also a shortcut to coming out and benchmark our solutions where they are needed. So, and if we can manage that, then I think you are also certified for becoming an export company in the end. So it's not only a good thing to do, altruistic thing to do, it's also something that I think is a very good business development for Sweden.
I so completely agree, and I think you can help us build these networks of complementary businesses that actually help us access a value chain that can make a difference. From both our project delivery perspective, as I mentioned, we are in more than 80 countries. We do some 1,000 projects a year. We would always look for the best solutions. We run in the UN system, we are unique. We run like a business. Of course, it's unique to be headquartered in Copenhagen. And we have an implementing role only. So we, of course, would like to talk to the policy owners, decide on what is a good policy framework, but we're impatient. We want to see things done. And if we can deliver to our partners even beyond expectations because we bring innovation, that is even a win-win, not only to us, but to our partners. So to our projects, it matters, but I think more and more we see how important it is for governments all over the world to access mature networks like you have already here in Sweden. It may help them bypass some of the steps that you have done over the decades here in Sweden, where we see many of the developed economies have been doing simply by linking up and I wouldn't say copy-paste, but work with you to drive solutions that are needed in their economies, their countries. As I say, if we were supposed to build health services in South Sudan and thought it would go via building the roads, we would never get there, because count the number of roads in South Sudan. We probably have to do a lot based on new technology. Long distance, virtual, maybe even drone, based technologies help us deliver these kind of solutions that make us able to kickstart some of these services that we need to provide.
Can I add some? That's amazing. Can I add something? I think that Business Sweden is working all over the world with super exciting Swedish companies. And you probably know some of those companies that could help in the challenges. So help us scout, help us connect to all of these. That's only one small thing to do. Yes, let's hook up. More questions? Yes?
Henrik Eklund, working in companies that drive innovation and sustainability. I'm a bit curious here. We know that there are quite a lot of strong hubs that drive innovation and sustainability today. Just to mention a few, Ideon Open, Cleantech Scandinavia, and Wind-Water that drive innovation within water. Can you say anything that will guide the principles of how you build the ecosystem of ecosystems?
Mm-hmm.
So this again is maybe more for you, Jonas. He was told to do magic.
Right. So in short, it's a matter of actually creating processes. If we can create processes in a high-income country, then we can, as previous speakers have said here, maybe not copy and paste, but at least we can transplant part of that into nations where they have a weak ecosystem or non-existing ecosystem. And to manage that, we need to tie into the local ecosystems already in place, the ones among the ones you were talking about. Many of them are already in contact with us due to that, because it is important. We don't want to invent the wheel 5 times. That doesn't make sense at all. And that also places us in a unique position, because what we are going to do mainly is response to challenges. You heard it here earlier, we are in 18 nations, and that's UNOPS. The UN as a whole has offices everywhere. We have people in the field everywhere. We see these problems every day. That makes us kind of unique in the sense when it comes to describing the problem. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone in the UN is the best to come up with the solutions for these problems. At least I'm not a believer of that. So hence, we need to call out to the global talent pool. These are global challenges. We're all facing them, so we need to come together to find the solutions. Now, what makes UNOPS unique in a UN setting is that we can actually fund pilots. So we will select the best ideas, we will incubate them here in Lund, among other places, and the best of those solutions will then get to actually pilot the case on the ground somewhere in the world where it's needed to get a proof of concept. And that, of course, improves the survivability of that startup. And it opens up the markets, as the minister sort of addressed earlier as well. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. Is it all crystal clear? Or do you have any more questions that we'd like to? Yes. Somebody up there, yes? It's now or never, you know.
Thank you.
Hi.
I'm very happy to be here today as one of the founders of Ideon, 1982. So we have been struggling a couple of decades to get so far as we did today. And I'm more than happy. And working together with Mia, exactly as you are describing here, we are already on the world market with the whole system. In Indonesia, in Africa, in Nigeria, in Colombia, we are all over the place selling out the system, how to organize, to receive all the new technologies. So, but starting from scratch, we are now kind of an exporter of a world system of innovation. So So thank you, Mia. You're
Thank you.
doing well.
Yes, you too. I guess that was not a question. But you should talk to the Indonesian ambassador here to explain exactly where you can contact each other, okay? Thank you. Yes? Question? Yes?
Hi, my name is Mark Lundvall. I'm a former Swedish diplomat and a former UN staff member. Thank you very much for great speeches. I was just wondering a little bit about the sort of vision of the center and where it fits into the wider UN innovation system, and also what kind of challenges especially the UN representatives would see going forward for the center.
Thank you. Thank you too.
Yeah, I can start because there are so many ways to think innovation. And as I said, our business model make us look for what outputs, what results can we deliver at the lowest possible cost. So what you see, this is a center that has very low level of running costs. We would like to connect the different stakeholders and sort of get them to work to develop their business ideas as quickly as possible. It's quite complementary to other parts of the UN where you see more innovation centers funded by donors who would work with the centers on what ideas should be developed and also agree on timelines and what and when to expect these outcomes. More heavy investments. We don't go to governments and ask for that kind of grants, long-term grants. We would normally go and ask for a project funded. And that is why you will probably see this as a different model to many of the other UN-based innovation centers. I think there is a need for both. And when we can work together with the business community, that's even better, because we tend to say that there is a lot of businesses out there who would like to partner, but not really knowing how. I think we have found a way here on how we can work with the business community. A lot of companies, and of course Sony will speak so much better to this themselves, they actually incentivize their personnel to engage in something for the greater good, and engaging in the SDGs, also together with universities, as we now have been able to get universities, not only here, but Harvard, MIT, coming along, make us, I think, able to offer something that young entrepreneurs in many countries would not have access to, because they would not be the ones to be invited into these innovation centers in the first place. So I think we help job creation in a significant way through thinking these innovation hubs rather than building the centers. But there is a need for all.
Do you want to say something?
No, Grete covered it all.
Okay. I would like to give the mic to Stefan at Sony. What do you see in this partnership? Why are you focusing on entering this partnership so fast?
Good question. First of all, good afternoon. My name is Stefan Andersson, and I have been heading up the Sony site for now 2.5 years. So I was actually reflecting a bit with all the very nice speeches and so on, and we are really positioned Lund and this region as a very, very innovative area. So I thought back then, and Johan, you and I started this journey a little bit more than a year ago with Mia, And I could never, ever imagine that this is kind of what we should end up with. So I was actually a little bit nervous, but I will try to overcome that. But I think, first of all, why do Sony enter a partnership like this? And then we should also remember that this is really, really important direction from Sony as a group. Our CEO, Yoshida-san, always emphasized that Sony should contribute to society, environment, and the planet. A very, very good match. And I think we have a really, really good proof point, because we have a long history of driving innovation, incubation, and also design thinking, which is the areas we are entering now into the partnership. And I think a good proof point also that we have been managing to convince the executive management team in Tokyo of the innovation power here is that we actually have the European hub for innovation based in Lund for Sony. So we have Anders and Olle. Can you please stand up? So Anders and Olle, they are actually driving the Sony Startup Acceleration Program, which is a fundamental part of this partnership. So actually, they will support now with a very, very structured way, taking the ideas and actually bring that to reality. And also to one of the questions here, that is our contribution into this. We also have a very, very strong design studio. So we have Tom Shanna that will also support now with design in all of these solutions. So we are trying to create the foundation now for all the startups to become successful in collaboration with Sara and of course with Mia. So let's see how it goes, but I'm really, really thrilled to be here today. Much bigger than expected, so, and please support us and cooperate. Thank you.
Great. I knew exactly 1 year ago, so. Sorry. Do we have some final questions? Perhaps here or here? Yes? Can we have a mic here in the middle, and then you?
Down there, maybe? Yeah. Can you catch it?
Oh, great.
That was close.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ann Molin. I'm head of Hack for Sweden, a government mission and also a platform for citizen-driven innovation. I would like to ask Sarah, what is the #1 thing you think you need to do when you go to work tomorrow with your team in order to level up and do the things that you've been talking about?
Good question. Actually, highest on my list is to get our office, which we're very close to getting. So we will, of course, get settled there. Then it's about getting a steering group in place quite soon. We don't want to do this together, so we want really to team up with good partners representing Sweden, representing the ecosystem, etc., so we can really make really strong decisions to base this work ahead on. Then also we are soon launching the first challenge. So we will also, of course, work a lot with that, getting the launch to happen, and then to take care of what comes in. And what we will also do in Lund, in the center here in Sweden, is to take global ownership for digital infrastructure that will be used by all the centers globally, and also the partners that will be working with us. So we will get that one in place as well, together with the Ideon team. So there you have some of the things on our to-do list.
Apart from meeting, yes, good. Apart from meeting 50 people a day,
yes,
that's also something that you have to do here in Lund.
Just a comment on that. I can just say that I've had the pleasure in the past few weeks to have a warm-up to get to know many of you together with Mia and her team, and it has been amazing. I'm really, really happy by the great curiosity and the engagement that I felt here. It's overwhelming. It's really clear that there is so much willingness here to really make a difference, and I just love to be part of that journey.
Great. Last question, I think, and then we need to move on. We had some lady over here from Indonesia.
Thank you. My name is Rahmawati Wulandari. I'm the first secretary for economic affairs at the Indonesian Embassy in Stockholm. I would like to echo my ambassador who congratulates for the opening of the UNOPS GIC Ideon here. Congratulations. All the best for this opening of this center. And my question would be about the future cooperation with other countries besides with Sweden. Would there be any possibility to work together with other countries? I know that UNOPS already established in several countries, but besides becoming the beneficiary of the projects which the UNOPS and GIC will be will be created in the future, do you also foresee any kind of cooperation with other countries in order to make this innovation or create such of innovation? And if you see that possibility, in what type of cooperation that this cooperation would be exist? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely open to partnerships and cooperation. To have a vibrant network will require partners. And of course, it will be very important to be welcomed by the governments in the countries we want to work. And equally important to find a good mix of businesses, strongholds, so we understand how we can make the biggest difference. So we already speak to a number of governments, both in developed and in developing world, because we want to provide access to the networks, as we have spoken a lot about here today. So mature networks is important with many enough of the hubs we established to actually build the strong networks. But in countries we work, I can mention that we are in the process of working with Kenya, Ghana, Montenegro. We are working already in Antigua, Barbuda, as I mentioned, US, Japan. We have been initialing dialogue probably more than I know, because Jonas, you have the pulse on this one too.
Would you like to add some few? Are these correct? Yeah, he can add a few.
He can add a few. That was what I thought.
Right. So India and Congo as well. And I would say that, without being over-optimistic, which I tend to be sometimes, we will have another 10 of these up before end of next year, actually. So it's moving quickly.
Sarah?
Just adding to that, I'm thinking of a more practical thing. When we're launching the challenges, we're not just expecting people to apply from the region here. We will welcome teams from all over the world. So no matter which country you come from, you're welcome to apply to the challenges, and you may end up at one of our centers. So that will be the strength here as well. And we will be able to fix innovation visas for those coming, so that you can really come and work here with us.
That's what's fantastic. It's a global innovation ecosystem that's centered here now for some time. I think that's amazing. Yes. Okay. I think if you are okay with that, do we have one last question? Oh, it's already over here. Yes, yes. Sorry.
Thank you for the box. Magnus Karstam, City of Malmö. We've talked a lot about acting, and we're a big network here that wants to act. So, spinning on one of the previous questions, if we have one of the four, we meet companies, innovative startups, and we know the four partnerships that you were talking about, Jonas. How do we connect them to you? Website, email? Do we put them on a bus and drive to your office to be? How do we act?
Electrified bus only. Yeah.
I'm very happy about the creative solutions to get to us. Thank you for that. And we will set up this infrastructure digitally very soon. So we will, of course, announce that. But until then, you're very welcome to contact us through Ideon, etc. And we'll, of course, be happy to talk more to you. Yeah. Thank you.
So with that, I think we'd like to, in a few minutes, welcome you out. But first, I'd like to thank the speakers and the key people here. Would you give them a hand? Thank you. And they will now, thank you. They will now leave with some of my team to a short signing ceremony between Sony and UNOPS, and then they will attend the rest of the celebration. So while they're walking out, I just would like to say a few words. I would like you to know that all of you have been carefully selected to attend this meeting. You are either from the sustainability industry, or you are from a fast-growing scale-up, or you are from the top companies in Sweden, or you are from the policy makers, or perhaps from the innovation ecosystem. So this is a great chance for you to stay on and meet the right people outside. I really urge you to talk to some new people, because there are really cool people here. Yes? So when they are soon heading out, I would like to welcome you all to celebrate this opening with some drinks and some snacks. And I hope you remember one thing from this. It's that Ideon Science Park is the place where you unexpectedly can meet the exact right people for you. Okay, thank you. And thank you so much for your interest for this subject and for this opening. Please enjoy.